Has been hit.
I like how he puts it up there, and it's hard to see in the monitor, but it says pre-show chatter at the top.
Oh, nice.
It's like he lets everybody know this is the pre-show chatter portion of the show.
Nice.
So fall turkeys versus spring turkeys. What's the difference?
One is based entirely on wood-wise and strategy, right? You're trying to actively find a flock of turkeys, and you're trying to disturb that flock to bust them up, because those turkeys were born and been running around together as a family unit or several family units, and when one of them is lost, they don't like that. They make all kinds of chatter to get mom hens and the young gobblers. They all want to get back together, so they get busted in nature by coyotes or crows or whatever. They get busted, but lots of time early in the fall, you might find a bunch of young turkeys that have never been separated.
Oh.
So when you bust them up, you hear all the ranges that a wild turkey can make. I mean, all the sounds from kiki runs to gobbler yelps.
Yeah.
Are really, really cool, and a super vocal. And then you become part of that to call the
Hey
flocks.
guys, here's where we are.
Yeah, where the flocks back in. Where spring, it's all about a mating ritual of a gobbler and a hen and playing chess with that. It's just a different sport.
Which one's harder?
Well, for me, they're both hard after, it's like Jim Casta said, I used to think I knew a lot about turkeys when I was, killed about 100 of them. I thought, man, I know what. Then I was 101. I realized I don't know anything about turkeys.
They do what they want.
They do what they want. So I enjoy the fall. I enjoy walking into a wood patch with a nice shotgun and a couple turkey calls, and I enjoy actively hunting. And then I enjoy to try to bust them up or spend as much time as I can with them. And I love the vocal. I do it in the fall just for all the vocalization. It's just really.
They're more talkative then?
Yes. And it's just super, super fun.
Welcome to Turkey Talk.
Yeah, turkey talk. I can do this for days. We'll talk about turkey hunting.
Be careful. He asked Chris Ellis. All right, welcome in. Chris Ellis from Timney Triggers. Welcome in, man.
Hi, glad to be here, man. Thanks for letting me come down.
This is fun.
It is deer season back home, so.
I know. We're going to make this quick.
Make this quick.
Yeah.
Make this quick.
So actually, this is Gun Talk Live. Welcome in. We're getting everything tuned up. Facebook, YouTube, welcome in. I'll be monitoring comments. We've got KJ over there monitoring comments, and we'll just have some fun here. So first off, Gun Talk Live is brought to you by Leupold, Be Relentless, and Springfield Armory, as well as Ruger. If you haven't checked it out yet, Ruger has a whole series of beginner videos that they're putting out there. And probably if you're watching this, maybe you're not a beginner, but it's worth sharing to your friends and family, and because I know you're getting all the questions. Hey, I just bought a gun. I'm thinking about buying a gun and all that stuff. So check them out at Ruger.com, and also Sig Sauer. Sig Sauer, not just a gun company anymore. Optics, ammo, air guns, silencers, and they just came out with a whole new line of silencers that are modular in nature, very cool. And I've also heard, I shouldn't probably say this publicly, but I've heard that you can find ammo directly from Sig Sauer, because they are an ammo company and everyone's looking at other places. So there's your tip of the day. Check them out at sigsauer.com. All right, Chris Ellis, Timney Triggers. Everybody watching this probably knows Timney Triggers, probably has heard of Timney Triggers, probably has a Timney trigger. Let's just back up, because now we're celebrating 75 years.
That's right. In 2021, Timney, American-made manufacturer of the world's oldest and largest trigger manufacturers in America, which we're super proud of.
Yeah.
Started in 1946 by a guy named Alan Timney, and if you know roughly that time frame in 1946, it's just right after World War II.
Yep.
So there was a surplus of service weapons that were coming back, and a lot of people were proud we won the war, and they had access to think about Mausers and Enfields and Springfields. And what Alan Timney did is he wanted to accessorize well, sporterize is what they called it, but he wanted to create a way for you to become more accurate with that service rifle, because these were deer hunters. They wanted to go deer hunting, and it had to be, even true today, it had to be easy to install. It had to feel like a crisp, clean break, and it had to be able to be, you didn't need a gunsmith. It had to be able to be put in like on your kitchen table, or, just the same principles we live by today, 75 years later. So for the history of our company, we're a bolt gun company. That's where we came from. And, you know, we follow the trends of what the customers are asking for. If you think about, like, a good example is the Model 700 came out in 1962. Right. Well, in 1965, we were asked to build a replacement trigger for that. So that's kind of the lineage. Is we've been building triggers for a lot of the most popular platforms. Now, as times have changed, as you know, when I grew up, a rifle was a rifle. Maybe you put a scope on it, maybe you put a good sling. But now, you know, they're almost like need to be considered like operational systems or like modular whatever. You think about. We learned a lot from the AR when we became a semi-automatic rifle company, building triggers for that. You know, we learned a lot from an AR, and people wanted to find an AR, and they wanted to customize it, and they wanted to put their accessories on there. So when you see companies like Timney and other accessories companies getting behind a platform, that platform is probably becoming very, very popular.
Right. Well, and you guys started with those, and you've moved along the way. And I mean, you've got triggers for anything that seems to pop up as a popular platform these days. You guys always seem to be there. I mean, the new CZ Scorpion.
Yeah, that's great.
CZ Scorpion is a gun that people are loving right now.
Yep.
And now it's like the pistol caliber carbine stuff.
Right, exactly. So I look at the trends, as any company would, to see how many of a certain platform are out there. And that tells me a story, but really what the story is, and our customers are great at this, we've built Timney by listening to our customers, is they'll let us know not only what platforms are out there, but what's the most popular one? Like you said, for the CZ, all of a sudden you'll get or a 1022, or one that we learned about was a Mosin Nagant a couple, 3 years ago. Well, I think it's 3 years, probably been 5 or 6 years ago.
And isn't that funny, because you don't think of that as like this is the newest greatest thing, you know?
Right. So if you look at the history of a firearm, you say, okay, there's a 10 jillion million Mosin Nagant rifles out there, but all of a sudden, I don't know why, it became trendy to take this and to make it a sporterized rifle, to make it, and we made a trigger for it based on our customers' feedback, and it still is a very popular trigger for us.
So you guys make triggers for so many platforms. If you're watching, we'd love to hear. What's your favorite Timney trigger, or what have you put your Timney in? I mean, what are the guns that you say, I have a Timney, and what has that done? We'd love to hear your stories or any questions. KJ, you got one?
All right. Well, you forgot to announce Brian M. as the winner of last week's.
That's what I do.
Live. All right. You forgot that.
Brian M., you're the winner.
Right. You commented.
Congratulations, Brian M.
We just jumped right in. I was so excited.
I know, but also we've got a lot of guys that David actually says, he says, I don't need a trigger upgrade. I like the factory gritty creep before the break.
Right. That's what I've really perfected that.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't say it, but my, mil spec is also kind of, to me, is like lowest common denominator. It's like, okay, it's what we just hand 1 million 18-year-olds, but there may be something better. I'm just saying. Along those lines, before I forget, there is a Timney trigger up for grabs. So not necessarily this one, although if you want it, we'll send it to you. But if you comment, you are entered to win. And we'll pick your name, and then you pick your trigger, and Chris is going to send it to you.
Yep.
Sound like a deal.
So pick a good one. I want you to pick a good. I don't care which one you pick. I just want more people pulling Timneys, and if you can get somebody introduced to a fun world of good triggers, let's do it.
That's a good offer. So you also make triggers for shotguns.
Yeah, we were asked to look at shotguns, and we did. We came out with what we call the 870 trigger fix, and I'm a turkey hunter. I understand when you're trying to take a shotgun and you're trying to get it to hit the exact same place twice, right? Because shotguns historically are known as scatter guns or imprecise weapons, and that they're made to shoot large patterns. But in this world of turkey hunting, and it also crosses over to slug hunters. You think
there's certain states. I mean, gosh, deer hunting with
so
shotguns.
If you think about the hillbilly logic of a trigger, if you want the round to hit the same place twice, the trigger has to break the same way twice. Okay,
Sure.
it's just fact, hillbilly logic. So for a shotgun user like me, for turkeys, and I'm trying to stretch that barrel out, when I was a kid, 25 yards was about where you shot turkeys at. Well, now with the choke combination and some of these TSS loads.
The loads, it's crazy.
I'm not going to tell you how far that I've shot turkeys at, because
it's impressive. The ranges we're stretching.
But if you're going to stretch that shotgun out to that distance, you're going to have a clean break, and it's repeatable. And that's what we did with the Remington 870. Slug guys really, really applauded us. Even some trap guys, some trap guys. But primarily, it's a hunting trigger, and it's an upgrade for an 870, which is one of the most popular, pump action shotguns out there. So, but not to let the cat out of the bag, but Ryan, we only make triggers. That's it.
That's your deal.
We don't make anything else. We only make triggers. So, if something you're looking at has a trigger in it, there's chances are we have our engineers take a look how. Now it would have to improve your accuracy with that, squirt gun, if you're talking about squirt guns, or it would have to improve your accuracy. It would have to feel like a Timney, not only the Timney that you're used to, but the Timney that was in maybe your grandparents' Mauser,
right? Maybe
your dad or your mom and dad's whatever Remington 700 or Winchester 70 or whatever, and then it has to feel like it feels in a modern Scorpion or whatever,
right?
And it has to be relatively easy to install.
That's the thing. That's one of the big things. Is I know there are a lot of people who are maybe a little shy about, like, man, I don't know, I'm gonna have to take apart my gun and do this. But I mean, I'll say I'm that guy.
Yeah, I get
like, I'm like, I don't want to mess it up. But I mean, I've installed your AR triggers, and it's like, wow, I just did that. I want to go buy myself a Coke after or something. I'm just excited that I actually was able to do it.
It gives you ownership into that platform, and it also helps you. I mean, the reason why Timney's been around for 75 years and will continue to do so, it allows you to become more accurate with that rifle or that shotgun. It allows you to become a more precision shooter, or more precision, for me, a hunter.
Right.
It just allows you. It gives you a tool, a simple way to do something simple for your platform, for your rifle, that pays off dividends, either target shooting, competitive shooting, or being a hunter.
So let's talk about one of the areas that we've seen a lot of growth over the last couple of years is the PRS, precision rifle, long-range shooting side of things. Obviously, having a good trigger is super important, and you guys have made a few ones kind of specifically for that world.
Yeah, we did. We took a look at our 700. A lot of people were using 700 clone actions, very popular, and we were asked to look at a trigger designed specifically for precision long range, and we came out with a trigger a couple years ago called the Hit.
The Hit.
Yep, and it was based off a premise of, a lot of people when they're shooting long distance, when they hear the ding, they like to say hit,
Right, sure.
So it was a simple play on words like that, and it's just geometry was a little bit different. We locked the sear engagement. We did a couple of things that they were asking us to do. Precision long range guys were asking us to do. We also took a look at the 700 platform on the hunting side, and we made an Elite Hunter trigger.
Yes. All those Elite series, the Calvin Elites and all that.
Yep.
I mean, talk about that, because that's the trigger that you go, holy smokes. I feel like you guys went, how far can we take this thing?
It's a neat time. If you're into American manufacturing, or you're into looking at like F-150 body styles or whatever, everybody's always trying to up their game, as new metals, new technology, new machines, that kind of stuff. So we gave Calvin Motley, who is the Calvin of the Calvin Elite series.
Yeah.
He has been one of our head engineers for a long time. We gave him a couple projects, asked him, okay, Calvin, what would be the elite, what would be the utmost trigger for an AR, or the utmost trigger for 1022, or for Model 700, or whatever? And I want you to filter that through your brain and through your engineering, and this precise moment in time, what would you consider to be the elite trigger? And that's what he did. He created Calvin, and we threw homage to him, Calvin Elite. It's kind of a neat process. We've also learned that, Timney, we have a kind of a good, better, best model as we look at and we go into triggers. For example, the AR, you look if you've got a budget-minded build, you got to lower. We have an impact trigger at a price point that allows you to get started.
Right.
We also have a Calvin Elite. We also have our AR competition trigger, which was the gold standard, still is the gold standard. And then we work with Daniel Horner to create Daniel Horner, champ.
Right.
What do you want the best trigger in the world to feel
What
like?
do you want it to be?
That was a great project, because we know how to build triggers, obviously. But when you have a champion like that steps in and says, I have this I'm looking for this feel, right? Well, it's hard to tell your machines and your robots, and, hey, Daniel Horner has this feel, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to feel like this. That's what I was saying. Like, triggers are so personal of what people are looking for. And it's interesting because you said it, Timney has a feel.
Yeah.
A Timney trigger has a feel, even though some of them are different or whatever it may be.
Right.
And you guys have worked with Daniel Horner and some other competition shooters. and the elite guys going, here's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because, I mean, just like if you were into NASCAR and you got to work with one of the drivers to build a car, or if you're into golf and get to work with one of the, females or males who are professional golfers, and they say, I want my putter to feel like this or whatever. It's a neat exercise, and it's an exercise that a 75-year-old company, should probably do. We're the ones that brought the innovation years and years ago to the aftermarket trigger business.
Yeah, we created the category.
Created the category, absolutely. So it's companies like us that need to be looking for innovation as we move forward, 2021 and on, and you'll see some neat products we're going into the first of the year that again, we're looking at anything that has a trigger in it, how can we help elevate that platform? And we need people like that's on your live right now to let us know what trigger they want us to build next.
That's exactly what I was going to say is, so what trigger would you like Timney to build? We got a comment here. Russ says, I've installed several Timney triggers in the Marksman for vets builds. KJ, what do you got?
They want to see a potato gun.
Hey,
Yes.
there we go.
A Timney and a potato gun.
I guarantee you I can pay my son's tuition bill next month on potato guns.
You never know. The precision potato gun.
Yes.
Yeah, when you think precision, you
No,
think
is this the
potato
same
gun.
potato gun I used to take, like, when my buddies get together and you spray the hairspray in
Yeah,
there and you
totally.
there's some type of ignition. that-
PVC
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
So
Definitely need a trigger in
I
that.
do have a potato gun story, or a few actually.
I also want to see Browning BPS.
Okay.
Keep them coming, boys.
BPS.
So
Yeah.
there's some good
I mean,
suggestions.
They
Yeah.
will actually do it.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We ran a contest. We still do. We asked, what trigger would you like for us to build last? Take all the layers off of it. I mean, is it a handgun? Is it a crossbow? Is it a squirt gun? Is it a Windex bot? I don't care. And some great triggers have been built off that. The AR came off our customer choice trigger, 870 trigger fix, Mosin and Gant. A lot of the triggers that are currently being built came from customers' feedbacks.
Wow.
Yeah, they know what they want. Now, we'll only build it if we can build it easy to install, relatively easy to install, that has a clean crisp, and elevates your accuracy with that platform. So it has to fit our obviously our parameters. But yeah, we're always looking for, and that's no secret. I mean, any platform out there that needs a good trigger, let us know.
Yeah. I mean, so your comments are welcomed, and you never know, they may build it. Russ says, I have one for a Mossberg 500A. Oh, have one. He means he's asking a question. Do you have one for a Mossberg?
We've been asked to look on the Mossberg shotgun side, and we are looking at that. I don't know. I'm
I mean,
not.
the same idea. I mean, if you have deer hunters in certain states, a bunch of shotguns being used. And the crazy thing is, some of those rifled barrels on a shotgun with a scope, you can make some shots that you wouldn't think with a shotgun.
Yeah, the Slugger series of shotguns with, especially, we've got it made nowadays with ammo choices. I mean, if you can find it, but some of the slugs and the sabots and some of the monolithic bullets and stuff right now are just phenomenal. But if you got a good slug scope and you got a good rifle barrel, sometimes you got to have a good pin receiver, sometimes you don't, but you can get a very accurate slug gun.
Yeah.
But we're looking at all kinds of different shotguns. It's on our list. I'm not trying to hold any secrets. I don't know where it's at on the list right now, but I know we've been asked several times on the Mossberg.
Yeah, looking at it. Bud says, looking to install a Timney in my first AR build. That's a great place to start. And you were kind of mentioning it. Is you guys have actually a lot of different options for ARs. And you have okay, I just want to put a decent trigger. I mean, and I guess what I mean is maybe they don't want to spend all the money on it because they're trying to do this AR build for an economical way, but you have that trigger as well.
We were asked just that same question many times.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you can make it a Timney? It has to be a Timney. It has to have that feel. But at a price point for a budget build or someone that's just getting into this that maybe doesn't know what attributes they need past an entry level or a nice Timney like a Daniel Horner DH3. Maybe they just don't. So they want to be able to take that impact, and we've done really well with that suggestion. It's one of our most popular triggers, just for budget builds, or when there was a lot of ARs on the market, and people were my son, when he first started messing around with an AR, I let him build one out of parts kits. You know, and that was fun. He had ownership in his gun.
Yeah.
You know, you start with a low receiver parts kit, you put a good Timney in there, then you start talking about all that. So it's kind of Legos for guns, but it's a great way. It's a great fun project to do.
Yeah. And honestly, I would say if you're doing an AR build, it's probably one of the most important parts of it. I mean, not just because you're sitting here. I mean, I would say, look, try to get whatever you can, the best you can get, but I would not mess around with like I said earlier, a mil-spec trigger.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, put a good trigger in there. That's like the last place you're touching and moving on a gun before you shoot to make that shot.
Well, if you put a good trigger in a low receiver, I mean, you're starting with a great platform.
Right.
You really are. And there's no need to, I mean, obviously there's a bunch of different ways you can go, but if you were going to do it and take the time to build a gun based on a receiver kit and a trigger, you might as well start with a good solid foundation and build up from that.
Yeah,
And we were proud to offer one at that price point for an entry-level budget-minded AR. You know, it was and what we did is we got consumers or customers were asking us to build it, and we went to Calvin, our engineers, and said, hey, can we build a Timney AR at a lower price point? How would we do that? And
Right.
Calvin found a design that took less time for us to put together and less time for us to not only assembly but to test, and we passed that savings on.
Okay.
So, because you have a lot of people don't understand that every trigger that we make on robots, CNC machines, wire EDM machines, every single trigger is tested by a human before it leaves.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Wow.
So that process of not only making the trigger on the machines, and you've been there, we've got state-of-the-art technology, just what you expected of a 75-year-old, American manufacturer. We got the latest and greatest lights-out robots, and then we have to take those parts and assemble them into a trigger, and then those triggers have to go over to testing, where we have men and women sitting there testing every single trigger, so that when you get it in the mail and it shows up to you, you realize, wow, this is exactly what I was looking for. And we know that our best trigger people in the world.
Right.
They put more triggers than anybody I know. Right. I mean, there's competition guys that shoot a lot. These guys are testing triggers and girls every single day, all day long. They know.
Yeah.
They know. You talk about that field, Daniel Horner field?
They know what it's supposed to feel like.
All right, Daniel Horner, come over here.
Right.
Let's meet Jeff Herloff here.
My finger versus your finger.
Jeff Herloff's been testing triggers for 15 years here. Sit down here there.
Yeah.
Test him out,
No kidding.
Yeah, so we found that process. We're able to streamline a few of the internal parts that allowed us to come and compete at a price point at a budget-minded AR build.
Well, and a lot of people are doing it.
And that's because you guys did that. You guys brought that to us.
I got a few comments here. William says, watching from Edinburgh, Scotland. Back in the States in January, never had an aftermarket trigger. I'm used to the squishy Glock trigger. Does it really make a huge difference? Note, I've never been hunting, but would love to get into it. So yeah, I mean, I would
from
think,
Edinburgh?
Well, I think he's getting back into the States, but he's in Scotland right now.
I fished Sam Stewart at one time, and I fished hunted for red stag here one time.
Did you?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But no, William, he's used to a squishy Glock trigger. Yes, an aftermarket trigger does make a big difference. KJ, you gotta.
Lots of folks listing pistol.
Oh, really?
Lots of people.
All right.
Listing pistols, and we've got AK triggers.
AK triggers.
That would be a.
I know it's
that'd be interesting.
probably all on the radar for you guys. You're probably always looking at everything to figure out.
So you AK guys out there, let me know what variant that you think is super popular right now, because there are, and I'm not an AK guy.
There's a lot of flavors.
There's a lot of different flavors out there, and one of the things we want to do is we have to make sure that our triggers fit within the tolerances of, like, you buy a whatever Model 70 Winchester, we have to fit within those tolerances, right?
Sure.
So the more narrow you can make that allows us to become more broader to hit more.
Yeah.
All mil-spec ARs are a great example, right? We just know what need to fit in those tolerances. But for AKs, let us know what variants you think are popular, and we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, that's a good one. So they're asking for a lot of different pistol triggers, huh?
P365 is a big one that they're mentioning.
Well, probably the most
M&P triggers.
M&Ps, and this guy said Glocks. Yeah. I mean all the popular ones.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have never done a pistol trigger before, have you?
No, we've never done a pistol trigger, but I will give you the utmost certainty that we are looking at anything that has a trigger in it.
Anything that has a trigger in it. I like it.
They're not bringing archery triggers back either.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But anything that can elevate your accuracy with that platform, let us know. We'll take a look at that. And again, I don't have the magic. I'm not an engineer, so
Right.
And I don't know how to build anything. A doghouse. My wife makes me go sleep in it. That's where I know. I can build them really quick. By the way.
Very large dog
Yeah, very
houses. Yes.
But we'll make sure that we'll take these comments and share it with our engineers and product development guys and see where we can go with this stuff. But this is awesome. This is exactly what I was looking for.
This is cool. So if you comment, and for the next week, I know that this is live right now and you can comment right now, but this will be up there. And for the next week, if you tune in and you go, well, it's not live right now, but can I comment? Yes. If you comment over the next week, you are entered to win a Timney trigger of your choice. And we asked Chris, is there one that's too expensive to send out? He said, no, we'll do it.
Nope. If you're passionate about it and you give a passionate response, these guys will figure out which one makes the most sense and send me your email, and I'll make sure they get.
Well, here's the secret. This is why Chris says this, is because what happens, and KJ can speak to this, we only need to get you into one. We only need to get you to put one in, and you're like, oh, damn it. Now I need one for every gun.
No.
If both of you guys had one Timney trigger to select out of the entire lineup, which trigger would you pick?
I'll let you go. You know all the triggers. You have a favorite of all the children?
Yes, I do. I have a favorite of all the children. I happen to like our Model 700 triggers. I'm a big game hunter. I'm a deer hunter. I like our Elite Hunter trigger. I like the way Calvin took a look at that. Now, we've been making them for a long time, since 1965. Mm-hmm. And I really like that Elite Hunter. I like the way it feels. For me, I set my triggers at 3 pounds. Mm-hmm. And I keep them at 3 pounds. And the reason why I do that is it allows me to have muscle memory with every one of my rifles. And I own quite a bit of rifles.
Same feel, no matter what gun you pick up.
Yeah, because a good trigger, it almost becomes a mental aspect of when your sight's on the target or your sight's on the animal, and your brain says, I want that bullet to go there. Mm-hmm. Okay, a good trigger takes away all those obstacles and almost becomes a physical and mental working together to where you call that shot and the bullet hits where your eye is looking. A trigger that's not so good, that may have a ton of creep, mm-hmm. or may have a ton of grit, or may not break the same way every time, doesn't allow you to have that muscle memory built up.
What happens is, I've done it because we shoot hundreds of different guns each year, you're pulling the trigger and you're going, come on, why isn't it going off yet? I'm pressing. And versus a trigger that's good and a trigger that you're used to, now you're, like you said, it's like your mind is going, I want it to go off now, and then it goes off now. And you don't have to yank it and jerk it to make that happen.
And so for me, hunting all over the world and stuff, so a 3 pound trigger allows me, I get very excited. I get excited when an animal's out there or when I'm hunting, and I want, if I got gloves on, if I'm barehanded, mm-hmm. if it's cold, if it's warm, or whatever, I want to take all those variables. And a 3 pound trigger to me is the perfect weight for hunting. Some people like 2.5, some people like lighter, but I would rather 3.5 pound trigger that breaks consistently every single time and has 0 creep, mm-hmm. is my preferred.
Well, and the thing is, it's a preference thing, right, of the different pull weight. But in that example, like a 3 pound trigger, and we've had trainers say, like, you can touch a trigger and the gun doesn't go off when you touch trigger. You actually can put your finger on that trigger and start pressing, like you saying. You're excited, you got an animal out there, but at least you kind of have an idea of, like, it's kind of weird. How does your brain know what 3 pounds feels like? But it does.
Muscle memory. So
yeah.
A good example is, and I've been talking to a couple of different people about this, is when I grew up, not all triggers were good. They weren't. And you can muscle memory, you can muscle your way, you can learn to shoot a gun that doesn't have a very good trigger through repetition. I mean, you can teach yourself to do that, right? But if you
groove the creep.
If you start with a good platform, especially if you're a young shooter, and your learning curve is much flatter than mm-hmm. having to do, you don't have to do that stuff anymore. You don't mm-hmm. have to figure out, okay, this gun has 1.5 miles of take up, right? As squishy as it can be. Yes. Finally, there's a wall in there somewhere, I think, about every third time I can feel it, and then the gun's gonna go. Right. So if you start with a good platform, you're eliminating all that, and if you can standardize each one of your hunting guns or your competition guns or recreational shooting mm-hmm. guns to have about the same feel, then all of a sudden your muscle memory, it just becomes like a golfer,
right.
like shooting a foul. It just becomes automatic almost. So
Yeah.
yeah, because more of a mental than a physical thing, and that's what a good trigger does. So
You got some comments?
Yeah, Tyler wants to know if Timney is worried about the ATF regulating accessories.
I don't know that I needed to be worried about that. I'm sorry.
Now I am. No. I mean, we always worry about what the ATF wants to do, right?
Yeah.
We'll work with them, keep an eye on them. You know, I think that it's something that everyone's going to have their head on a swivel about this year and get active with keeping an eye on what's trying to be done. But to answer the question on which trigger is my favorite, I kind of tend to go towards ARs because I feel like that's the one that is the most immediate noticeable improvement over what's in the gun already. And for me, preference-wise, I like about a 2.5, 3 pound trigger. And I've kind of grown to like the 2-stage triggers, especially if I'm going to try to do some precision stuff.
Yep.
I don't mind having it take up to a wall, and then that wall is even a lighter, poundage weight.
Yeah, we that's another thing that came from the customers. They kept asking, "Are you going to build a 2-stage trigger?" And I'd be like, "I'm not a 2-stage guy." And I'd be like, "No, they're kind of creepy and ucky, you know." and then people kept asking. I was like, "Well, okay, better build one." And I get so many. This is fact. I get so many people that send me open groups versus tight groups with a 2-stage, and their mindset is ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. They understand that, and they are shrinking groups by using that, just like you talked about.
Interesting.
So, although I'm not a 2-stage guy at all, I understand how they work, and I understand that for some people's brains, they can be magical when it comes to becoming more accurate with that. You know?
Yeah.
So I understand that completely. I like a firm wall right off the get-go, breaks at 3 pounds, but I understand. And I've seen it so many times that it's a good way to really, really tighten up your groups if your brain, and like your brain, works that way.
It's funny that you say that because we shoot a lot of guns and we shoot the groups, and people like to talk about groups, and they'll talk, well, is that gun accurate? And they're like, man, there are so many factors. Is the barrel accurate? Is the ammo cooperating with the gun? But you're talking about same gun, they put a new trigger in, they put a Timney trigger in.
Yep.
And the groups go, whoop,
all the time.
tighten up.
People send it to me and it used to be when I first started with Timney 16 years ago, I mean, print was the key, right? So you'd see it in print a lot. You'd see somebody that was doing a rifle review or accessory review or whatever, and they would mention, hey, it tightened up my groups. And I'd be like, well, that's cool. But I like it from people out there that are doing this thing. I love to get those responses when they were like, hey, look what I did. All the thing I did was change the trigger.
Right.
And what it does, it just allows you to, because so much of the barreled actions out there are so good right now, that if you can start with that good platform, you can really build off of that.
Yeah.
You know, if you're starting with a trigger that doesn't allow you to become accurate, doesn't allow you to muscle memory, isn't repeatable, you really don't have a strong foundation.
You're fighting against it.
Yeah, you really. Now you can. I did it for years before Timney. You can memorize that stuff. It takes a lot of rounds and a lot of patience and a lot of muscle memory to build up. But you certainly can. But you can take that and speed up the process much quicker with a good trigger. And we're blessed right now. There's a bunch of good triggers out there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I know you're looking for guns, you're looking for ammo, but this is a place where you can probably find a trigger, and it's a project that maybe doesn't involve trying to find out-of-stock ammo. Then you can improve your shooting, improve your gun. So, Chris, thanks for being with us.
Hey, man, thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, let us know which ones you all want us to build. We'll pay attention to that, and then somebody write a good answer so I can make somebody's Christmas. I can send them a trigger.
Yeah, there you go.
Ho,
you
ho,
are
ho.
now entered if you commented. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Live.
Thanks for watching Gun Talk Live. For more great gun content, subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. You can always watch the Gun Talk channels on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon. And of course, you can always find us at guntalk.com. Thanks for watching.